Uh, Pretty soon we'll have a match between Tom Martell playing Doomsday, the top of the screen, versus Randy Bueller playing Grixis, Young Pyromancer, Cabal Therapy, Shenanigans deck. Uh, I think both players capped. Randy's hand is about to be no cards. Turn one Thoughtseize, taking Ancestral Recall will have Randy on nothing.
Kind of a loose keep. His deck really doesn't have much to do with 5 lands.
Yes, that is true. Nor does basically any deck in Vintage. Unless you're playing against a mana denial deck, and that is not Doomsday. All right, looks like we are back, and yeah, let's get our players started.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by Randy's keep. This is vintage. I guess he's thinking I have Ancestral Recall, but against a deck with, let's see, Tom has 3 Mental Misstep and 1 Duress and 2 Thoughtseize. It's a lot of ways to not have Ancestral work.
That is a lot of ways, indeed. Also, just being on the play, counter magic, flusterstorms, etc.
Yeah. And I guess the strip mine is, always a potential like bingo where someone keeps a hand they shouldn't keep, but
True.
but
Really
yeah,
wants to draw brainstorm.
now he's kind of forced to strip mine and hope that it's a bingo because that's really like his way to win now.
Yeah. Well, when your opponent leads on Black Lotus, it's not feeling good.
Yeah, it's just I don't think his hand is keepable, and this isn't limited.
I'm with you, and I think we're going to see why very shortly, as this should be a mauling. Tom's probably just gonna crack play Ancestral right away. He's seen Randy's hand. There's only one unknown card. Really, only afraid of mental misstep and whatever. Get to the
Right.
stuff that gets
Randy
missed.
blue.
It's not the end of the world.
Right. If you drew a blue card, big deal. So I get my ancestral forest with brainstorm, gush. So if you're Randy, you can't really probe here. I don't think. Not with the Lotus in play. You need the force of will.
It's true. I mean, having a blue card is a nice draw, though.
It's
Better than a
just,
land, at least.
it's just so. Or maybe you need to probe because you have to hope to get lucky, like draw a Cabal Therapy. I don't. It's just you got to imagine you're just in so much trouble.
Tom doesn't have anything like exciting to do right now. I mean, playing
No.
Gush is not exciting. Brainstorm with no fetch land currently in hand. It's not too thrilling, although he can just brainstorm and hope to actually hit the fetch land. Although his hand's good, he's not. There's nothing you're even looking to get rid of. Although you're not doing anything for a while, you're well set up to not really have any problems. Although he does hit no action and won't hit anything for a couple turns. I mean, he can gush out of it, but he does have a lot of good protection spells. 2 forces, 2 flusterstorms.
So here's Randy's route to victory.
Yeah. No, this game can go long, can make the flusterstorms less effective, although rare that happens. Wow.
So Tom has to force a will here because he has nothing going on. And then he's going to use the second Flusterstorm to counter the forcible because Randy has to force. He just has nothing else going on. Nope. Wow, I think against Doomsday you kind of have to force there.
Yeah, it's a tough call. I mean, you would think,
Oh wow,
but
that was a good draw.
she gets the lead on probe. Well, it would be an insane draw if Young Pyromancer randomly resolved.
Wow.
You would just get to go off. He had like the actual perfect sequence of cards with
Yeah.
Pyromancer Probe Therapy, like exact 3 cards you would probably want with Ancestral already in the bin.
Is he not gonna do it?
You could just save the blue card for now.
Wow, I
Like, he knows Tom's hand can't be anything too amazing. He could have just gone off. Like, Tom still knows about two more lands in Randy's hand
I
going into
guess
that
that's
turn.
true, but man, I don't know. It just seems like
Yeah, I would be hard pressed not to probe therapy, but
I just think you're so far behind. Like that's how you're going to get lucky and win this game.
yeah. I mean, I certainly can't argue with that. He's got the Doomsday, he's got multiple counter spells. He has no way to draw cards, so he can't win this turn. But he can set up a nice turn next turn. I think Randy holding on to this works out pretty well with the Gush getting used. I'm not sure it works out well enough to actually win or do anything, but
I mean, can't he just Doomsday and sort of just hide a card drawer on top and then win the next turn?
well, he can get his forces therapied, and if Randy draws a
Oh,
counter,
right. Right. Randy Kiki's forces. Randy would therapy
if Randy
forces.
draws an action spell or even a creature to kind of go to town with, like the problem is you can't use the probe unless you draw a blue card for this plan for
Right.
his
So
power
if
stone.
he Doomsday and says go, I guess we have to know a lot about the Doomsday deck to know what sort of hands make you say Doomsday go, and that is going to really inform your therapy. If you think that the hands that say Doomsday go are all hands that put a card drawer on top, but have counter spells in their hands, then I
Well,
guess
there's no card drawers in hand, or he's going to
right,
cast them. So
exactly.
you have to just go after the counter spells.
So you have to assume it's a Force of Will hand. But if
Could be
you
Flusterstorms. In this case, it is both.
that's interesting. We haven't seen a lot of those.
Well, one thing we know for sure is that nothing is going to be cast speedily.
Did they have Steve tag in?
Steve is not the slowest player in our league. Well, I guess I could wait for Tom to actually cast Doomsday before asking you questions that could take 5 to 10 minutes. But if you
Yeah.
had your choice of who wins this match for your next opponent to get into the, I don't even know. There's no real finals, but
Well, obviously, I want to play against Tom. I mean, it's just a really easy matchup. I mean, I can lose,
oh yeah, every matchup is losable.
but against Randy though, if I chalice for 6,
Oh yeah, is that the ticket?
that's the ticket. Chalice for 6. It's hard to pull off, but if you do it, pulverizes. Not going to happen.
There you go. Chalice for 6. You heard it here.
Wow,
Hopefully first. I really hope first.
This is a really long turn.
Yeah, it is. This is where the judges would step in real magic and go, "Sir, please leave."
Yeah, I mean, this is where Tom probably does not have doomsday spreadsheets like Steve does.
Yeah, it is a tough spot if you want to
This
figure
seems
out
easy,
how to
right?
win without
With
going
Fluster,
for the win
with
because he knows about
Flusterstorm,
Force of Will.
but with Flusterstorm and Force at Will, isn't this? Don't you just go for it? Don't you just ritual
You
Doomsday?
can, but is there any reason to? Like, are you losing anything by not going for it?
Well, you are playing against a deck with Cabal Therapy. I mean, how is it going to be better than 2 counterspells?
He could draw another Thoughtseize. He could draw card drawing spells so that he can go for it, in one turn after Randy does something. Although Randy's never tapping out. We know Randy still has more lands from the first turn Thoughtseize that haven't even entered play yet. So yeah, I think that this is a reasonable spot to take a good amount of time. Maybe not like 8 minutes, but I do think this is a tough spot. I'm not exactly sure what I would do. Plus, if I do decide to go for Doomsday, I need to figure out what the perfect pile actually is, which is a lot of thinking too. Like, you don't necessarily just have to figure out whether you're going for it. You have to figure out if there's any pile worth going for now, to the point that you actually want to.
I would think that you ritual Doomsday, and then you want to avoid losing
Well, you're
two.
not leaving up Flusterstorm then. Yet, has he played a land this turn?
No, he has black and blue floating.
Oh, he has mana floating. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Did not remember. The gush happened like so long ago that just
So that's interesting. Is it better to use Black Lotus than
well, in
Ritual?
some ways because you get to put the Lotus back in your deck from with Doomsday. So if that's the pile you want to go for, it makes sense.
What does that do for you? So here's an interesting one. What is the point? Given that Tom thought for so long, I don't know. It's almost like Randy's making his Cabal Therapy a blank by Force of Will here, but maybe he still has to go for it. But he knows that Tom knows he has Force of Will. So what is the point of Force of Willing? Tom's
Well,
not going to
you're
go
going to
for
force of
it.
will this, or you're going to force of will like a spell next turn. So if he
No,
thinks
but
this
but
is the
it's
fight worth fighting, I agree with you. I definitely would not force of will this. I would hope to draw something that would allow me to basically win the game, by forcing through either multiple therapies or just something good.
right. You have to hope that somehow. Yeah, you have to somehow hope that the Cabal Therapy messes up Tom's plan because clearly Force of Will doesn't because he knows you have Force of Will. And Cabal Therapy is like an interesting card that is hard that can do things that the cards Tom knows about just don't do. So I feel like
It's
you have
possible Randy could draw a counterspell here and win this game because he's going to play Cabal Therapy on Force of Will. You would assume that's just going to happen.
that's probably hmm,
I'm
yeah
not
Tom.
sure what his best draws actually are, but he may have draws that win this game. Um, if Tom is going for a Lab Maniac win, it's possible something as simple as Lightning Bolt can mess it up. I'm not sure exactly what pile he's going for here. Because right now he has no mana left. He has the Dark Ritual.
No, he has a black floating, right?
No, I'm saying he's going for it next turn. I'm saying for next turn he only
Oh,
has
right.
one land to start. So you can't like just go crazy because you need a
Well,
number of mana to cast Lab Maniac or Tendrils. I mean, Randy's going to have to draw something good either way, or Tom's going to win on his turn.
Randy's ancestral recalls in the yard, which is very problematic.
Yeah.
So he
He
can't
really
draw.
only needs one good card, though. I mean, one
But
thing to mess up this combo may be
he
enough.
doesn't have hard counters.
Does he not?
I mean, no, not that. I mean, he could draw Treasure Cruise. Um, he could draw Dig Through Time. He could draw
If he
because I
draws
think
something like Misstep for the Ancestral, he could buy himself a number of turns to draw something good. I don't
he
know.
could draw Flusterstorm. Might be able to do it, depending on what pile.
I don't think Flusterstorm can do it against pretty much any pile because of Dark Ritual. Like if he leads on Ancestral and gets, it could potentially get the last spell. I guess. Yeah, you're right. It could. Although that won't change anything either, because if he's got no cards in library and cast Probe or Gush, and you counter it, you still have to kill the Lab Maniac or you die during his draw step. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm just looking at Randy's list, and it's not like he has Counterspell.
no, mana drain.
This is interesting how the Doomsday hides everything from Cabal Therapy.
Doesn't hide those two Forcibles.
Right. But they don't actually matter given unless Randy draws them.
Nope. I wonder if this Cabal Therapy is going to resolve, or if he's just going to cast Forcible, so that Randy doesn't know the rest of his hand.
I would definitely I mean, you
It's
definitely can't
interesting.
resolve.
See, I was the exact same. You're definitely, well,
The
yeah.
only way you get punished is if he names Forcible, it doesn't even matter. I guess you get punished if there's a second Cabal Therapy, but Randy only has, well, he's going to be able to fetch a second black, and you have to assume, he has a fetch land in hand, I believe, that Tom knows about the second fetch.
Now,
Yeah,
if you
Randy,
know that your match is guaranteed to take 40 minutes off your opponent's clock, but you have a good matchup because it's against Doomsday, do you still take that, or would you rather play against Crixus?
hard for him to use 40 minutes against me.
Is it, though?
uh,
Sound like a man who hasn't taken too many 9-minute Doomsdays. Unfortunately, you have to take an action eventually, or you time out on Magic Online. This turn is eclipse the 10-minute point.
yeah, this is what Menendia warned us about.
We should have listened. The sick thing is, if Randy wins this game after Tom's now used half his clock on this turn, it becomes a lot harder to win games 2 and 3. To win both of them.
Tom could have jammed this turn in a minute and a half. He probably would have got it right.
Well, it looks like he's picking some cards. Oh, it's just the Ancestral. It looked like there was a big highlight around a bunch of
Yeah,
them.
I thought he was delving somehow. But
yeah, it looked like a bunch of things were highlighted from my end, but... Alright. Just the Ancestral. Oh, he still had a land drop, too. Alright. All the mana in the world. Now, we get to see if any of it mattered if Randy can draw something that impacts this game. It'll probably be a land.
There's just not a lot of impact here.
Lightning Bolt could matter.
Oh, impact!
Are you braced for impact?
So do Cabal Therapy first?
Of course. You have to Cabal Therapy first, or it's just going to get forced.
I mean,
your therapy turns into a nothing.
I mean, I would Cabal Therapy first, but
yeah. Well, not dead yet. I can go for a walk.
So he has to. I mean, basically, he has to Cabal Therapy and then dig for force on a blue card, which is not that exciting. And he's still.
Well, I mean, like I said before, like just misstep, I think is multiple time walks. The top card is usually Ancestral. I guess it could be something like Gush, but
yeah,
Ancestral is going to be involved.
He would probably if he gets Gush, he just avoids mental misstep entirely, right?
Right, but he still needs to do more things. He's still going to have 2 cards left in his library. Like, what are you going to gush into?
That's another reason to.
Like, you can't even cast Gush. Like, Gush is bad because he only has 4 cards in his deck after he draws. So if he gushes, he can't Ancestral for value. He can only Ancestral to kill himself with Lab Maniac. So you actually are just going to have 2 cards left in your deck with a Gush. So you'd have to cast Gush twice.
I assume he has to have got Ancestral.
That's my thinking. That doesn't mean that's true, but and I could just be wrong also, but that's what I'm thinking.
So he draws a card for his turn, leaving 4 cards left.
If you cast Gush and leave yourself 2 cards in your library, Ancestral is a card.
You only Gush once.
Randy also knows Ancestral is one of the cards. It was highlighted in the graveyard.
Wait, does Randy see that though, or did we just see that because of the way we're watching the game?
No, Randy sees that. You can see the cards taken in the graveyard. I don't know. I think this game got interesting. Well, Randy's going to have to lead on therapy here.
You're right. I mean, he has to assume. Yeah. Right. Because Tom had so much mana floating, he has to assume that he has no card draw in hand, which means he can only have counter spells in hand. Like, there's no way you can have a card draw and Black Lotus in play, and he ended the turn with mana in his pool. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, either way, you're going to probably want a therapy to clear Force of Wills out for your dig through time and your answers. Like if he doesn't have any counter spells, then you're not in terrible shape. Like something as simple as just Bolt Misstep could just be game against like a Lab Maniac.
Right. Which is actually going to make this deck look remarkably fragile in some ways if that works, because I guess once you Doomsday, you open yourself up to when
Yeah.
you are reading that. That's why people like to win the turn they Doomsday.
I mean, Randy kept a 5 land opener, drew a land turn one, and then drew 4 pretty great cards in a row.
He did indeed name Force of Will. So, step
Good name.
one.
Well, I assume he wants to play fetch land and crack it or for a little bit of thinning.
He has to get Mental Misstep or Force of Will on a blue card, I believe. But Flusterstorm does not do it unless he gets another instant. He can get like
He
Flusterstorm,
could just play Flooded Strand pass and leave up dig through time to respond to whatever Tom does on his turn. I'm not
That's
sure
good for
if that's
that's good for Flusterstorm, right?
right. The problem is he doesn't know exactly what Tom put on top of his library or whether he can get punished for that. It's pretty hard to get punished for that.
Yeah, what punishes you?
Tom could just say go potentially and try to, respond to the dig through time with something like Ancestral, but I don't think that punishes you either.
No, that does punish you, right?
No, because you're ancestraling during your end step. The dig through time is presumably still resolving unless he hits a flusterstorm off the. Like if his Doomsday pile was ancestral and he's drawing into flusterstorm, then it
Right.
could punish you. But also, you could just say go yourself. Like you're gonna have 4 lands in play. You're going up to 5. Dig through
Right.
time only costs 2. So having your opponent not do anything is good for you too. Like you're fine passing because you're gonna have more mana even after casting dig than your opponent's gonna have. So it's not a bad spot.
Right. So
Tom's
Randy,
gonna have to make the first move. He only has 5 cards in his deck. So I think the best play here is just say go. At the very least, you want to play Flooded Strand and crack it first, I believe. There's no block spell you're going to want to cast, so leaving up Underground for your Flooded Strand is useless. You're not going to therapy a Ritual or a Tendrils, I don't think.
I was just gonna say, it's not possible that Tom did a Doomsday Pal that requires the Dark Ritual in his hand, right?
I don't think so. It would have to be
A Yawgmoth's Will.
involve Yawgmoth's Will and using the Tendrils, but I mean Randy's at 17. It's a lot.
Yeah, against a Cabal Therapy deck, once again, that seems.
Yeah, because you'd have to Ancestral, Lotus, Mox. I mean, Yawgmoth's Will is 4 spells. Ritual's 5. Ritual's 6. Lotus is 7. He can't cast Ancestral again because of deck himself. He'd have to Ancestral Randy, and that's still only 8 spells.
Right, so there's a Mental Misstep and Lightning Bolt. So now he's protected against Lab Maniac. That's pretty good.
He's not protected against a Lab Maniac Flusterstorm, though.
Well, he can mental. How's that going to work out? But
Well,
only
he can still Mental Misstep the Ancestral if that's
right.
the first spell. Time Walk is the first spell. All right.
That makes Gush. Maybe he got Time Walk so that he could Gush. That works, right?
It does, but it still leaves 1 card in your library.
Right.
So if it's Time Walk into Ancestral, that means he can draw Probe, Maniac,
Time Walk.
Flusterstorm. That would work.
The problem this doesn't work is that Randy knows the contents of your hand, which means that Randy's not going to make a mistake with Mental Misstep. So there, you got to go for it.
Will Randy let this resolve?
Well, I mean, I guess there's some chances daughter walks into the room and confuses him. It's happened
Well,
before.
if he lets it resolve and the rest of the contents are, I guess it doesn't matter. You should counter this because if the rest of the contents of the deck are things that Bolt and Misstep would handle, then Bolt is just going to handle it anyway. You're just going to win in 3 turns.
But so you're saying it's possible that that you don't need to counter this because of how Doomsday piles work?
I'm saying that either if it's okay to not counter this, it's probably good to counter it because if it's Black Lotus Lab Maniac Probe, or some combination of cards like that, then it doesn't matter. Like your 2 cards are going to win the game, whether you use the misstep or not. And if you don't use the misstep, it's you're still going to win the game in 3 turns. Like those 3 cards are not going to win later on. The bolt is still going to kill the maniac. So either way, they're going to win. If that's the case, if they are Lab Maniac, Probe, Flusterstorm,
Aren't they
you
like?
can't cast all those.
Aren't they just like? Aren't they just gonna be like Lab Maniac and a discard spell, and Tom's gonna try to win on his next draw phase?
Could be. If he has a discard spell as one of his top 3, he's got a chance to win. Well, not anymore.
Wow. This could be the first time, how Randy's been drawing like the useless lightning bolts in his deck? This could be the first time
It was
If the
the
lightning
Gush.
bolts actually
I
get it
guess
done.
Gush is the same as Probe, except you don't have to pay life. So same.
Right, and it gets around mental misstep. So is he going to go for it here?
It doesn't. Yeah, he is. It doesn't matter though
Right.
if he
Unless
waits or
he's
not. It's the
he
same
could
attack.
how many he could shock us with some. I don't think Yawgmoth's will works, but
I don't think anything works against two bolts.
this is amazing. Randy, who's been drawing bolts when he doesn't want them the whole time,
Well, to be
potentially
fair, that was
wins.
against Tom.
Yeah,
Randy
he
had
could
to then win
potentially
the
win
next
because
game.
he drew the second bolt this time. Because this could be duress. That's mental misstep Black Maniac. Amazing. That is pretty hilarious.
So yeah, he would have been able to win. Yeah, see that was my point from last turn. If you don't misstep the ancestral, it's just better to do it. You get an extra draw phase because
Yeah,
he was still going to win the game. Like if he doesn't misstep it, he would play Lab Maniac. He would cast Gush. Randy would bolt the Maniac. It would get misstepped, and he would misstep the misstep. So he was going to win that way. Or you just get an extra draw step. So
right.
that's why misstepping the ancestral ends up just working because you're going to win either way with those lines. You just get an extra draw step.
Yeah, I guess I'm sort of surprised that this was the best pile Tom could do. This is maybe this is a spot where this
Are
is
you
a
saying
spot
he should
where
have thought even longer?
well, I'm saying maybe like well, I think I talked a little bit about this last week where like in Legacy, combo decks often play Cabal Therapy because they get into spots where they can't get around two of the same card.
Yep.
I wonder if this is a weird spot where if Tom had had like a Gataxian Probe Cabal Therapy pile, he could have won this. Um,
I don't know. He was in pretty great spot.
yeah.
I'm not sure that would have changed much.
Well, if on the last turn he draws Cabal Therapy instead of Mental Misstep, he wins. But yeah, he would have to name Lightning Bolt, which he would in that spot. But
That
it's
is
just,
true.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've always wondered. I've never really played. I haven't really played
To
the
be
Storm.
fair, if it was Probe, as you mentioned, he would have still lost
Right.
because he would have gone to 5 and gotten bolted out.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, I haven't played the Legacy combo deck, but that is something
Oh,
that.
I have. I've played it in the last legacy, or not the last one, two Legacy GPs ago. I played Ad Nauseam. It
Oh,
was
did you play Cabal Therapy?
yeah, it was great. Well, I mean, the deck had probes and duresses as well, so it was pretty
Right.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's just interesting that they don't play duress. You know, and in like modern people play a mix of like Inquisition, duress, and Thoughtseize. Obviously, no one plays Inquisition and Legacy because of Force of Will. But the idea that Cabal Therapy gets into the mix, um, I think is interesting. But you don't see people doing that in Vintage.
No, I mean it's pretty tough to play therapy when you're gonna need to see their hand. If you don't have creatures in your deck, it's tough for combo decks. Like
Right.
they're just better options because you're able to play your own Force of Wills. It's just kind of a better I guess therapy in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, you get all those same. I mean, the Legacy deck is remarkably similar.
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
so Randy's sideboard, he doesn't have a ton. He has a Pyroblast, um, and he can bring in Grafdigger's Cages over Lightning Bolts if he wants to, I guess. But Tom does have the Xantid Swarms, which makes that less attractive. I know Luis and I talked about that last week.
Randy's mulliganing to 5, although his 5 is better than his last 7, so
Basically the same.
it's just the same hand. Although this time he can get his Force Duress instead of the Ancestral.
Mystical Tutor, not a card we see. We see a lot of sideboarding of the Mystical Tutors out.
Yeah, this is the one deck where it's pretty great. The fact that you can actually go get the card that's just going to win the game, where most decks can't really do that. It was pretty great for a while to just go get Tinker, but Dak Faden has made the Tinker plan quite a bit worse.
Yeah, Tinker's
Phantom
just not
Misstep has made the Ancestral plan worse, and There aren't a lot of great answers to the card Doomsday, and so being able to go get that in addition to, a Gush or an Ancestor or whatever you need, it kind of makes this the one deck I actually like Mystical Tutor in.
Yeah, this game's almost over.
Oh yeah, he can win on turn two with no backup, but he knows three of the four cards in Randy's hand. Well, if he has to tank for more than 10 minutes to find the way to win this game, it will make game three a little bit trickier, although still a ton of time.
Well, he's going to have to make a decision on is he going to try to win turn two.
Yeah, I mean, not a ton of pressure to go for it when you still have that ponder that is just sitting in your hand that you can
Right.
basically cast for free.
So is he going for it or is he pondering? He's going
Ooh.
for it.
Yeah, I like going for it.
Yeah, makes sense. Ponder is pretty much extraneous.
Well, it's gonna work. Turn two, kill on the play with the rest back up against an Emolta 5. Not too bad. Pretty nice after, a long game one to get that quick, easy game two. Gear up for game three.
Yeah, Randy definitely only has, it's basically his main deck is what he has going in this matchup. I don't know about, yeah, the cages. I'm never sure what I think about cage, whether I want to bring in one.
This is a pretty easy pile if Tom's not trying to play around anything against the goldfish. I'm not sure what he's going to try to play around, if anything, though. I mean, right now you can just gush, draw into Black Lotus Ancestral, sack that for 3 blue. You'll have your entire deck in your hand and just play Mox, Lab Maniac, and the last card, Gataxian Probe, and win the game on the spot. Any combination of those cards will do it.
Oops. This is, yeah, Lotus Lab Maniac Probe.
Lightning Bolt would have been a good draw from Randy. It would have won this game. But nope, Tom takes it.
Yeah, it's another reason you can't really board out bolts. So really for Randy, if he were going to bring in, I don't know what he took out for the only real things he can sideboard out, I feel like, are Lightning Bolt and Dak Faden. I guess he could board out.
Deck Faden's pretty bad.
He could board out some of his creatures. He has 4 Young Pyromancer and 3 Snapcasters.
I don't think you want any of these cards besides Pyroblast, so I would just do one
I
Deck
agree.
Fade Pyroblast.
I keep forgetting that Randy has 3 Snapcaster Mages, which obviously make Grafdigger's Cage way, way worse.
I actually just don't think Grafdigger's Cage is very good in this matchup at all.
I don't think it's good, but I don't hate one. I mean, one can potentially make a difference.
Yeah, but I think it's more likely to make a difference in hurting yourself, as you mentioned. The Snapcaster
Right,
is
right.
not a good combo.
I keep forgetting about Snapcasters. So here we go. It's a land light, permission
Randy's
light.
got a real hand for once.
Yeah.
He's going to get to know exactly what he's up against. A decent amount of card drawing, but no action to start. Randy would love to see a Mox.
A Mox would be
fast mana right here.
Yeah, we
probably get Force of Will, but it's still pretty nice.
We have a totally speculative hand by Tom over there.
Speculative with 2 preordains is a good place to be generally. Although Randy does have the misstep too.
Right. But no, this is going to be...
Really wanted a Lotus or a Mox there would be insane.
Yeah, I mean, you have to probe again.
Yep.
There's no reason to hold it back that I can...
Yeah, I mean, without having a second land to even guarantee that you get value after casting Pyromancer next turn, you just run out the probe and hope, well, those were 2 bad cards.
Yeah. Not great.
Now his hand looks kind of like hot garbage.
Yeah, now he basically is down to like a 40% chance of... Tom's going to know. This is gonna be one of those games where if he draws the second land, is his plan Pyromancer or Time Walk? I think it's Pyromancer, right?
I think it's Pyromancer when you have the Pyromancer, it's generally right to just play the Pyromancer before the Time Walk. I mean, it's not like he gets to do anything special the turn afterwards. He maybe hits a land drop, you
And
know?
he really like just think of how insane Cabal Therapy would have been too. He really drew two unexciting cards.
The only problem with Cabal Therapy would have been that he would not have been able to get red mana.
True, but
But yes, it would have been
he
great.
can't without a second mana, he can't do anything anyway.
Well, yeah, Cabal Therapy would have been great, though. I mean, he does have some bad lands in his deck, like Basics and Strip Mine, so
Yeah. Is he gonna misstep here?
I would imagine so.
Yeah, it seems like it's hard to imagine with Tom knowing you have the misstep that the misstep is going to be do much more. I mean, I guess
Right.
once again, it's like
Well,
you'd
he
rather
knows
draw.
Tom's hand, too. He knows all the cards to the left of the second gush.
I guess you'd rather misstep with Pyromancer in play, but that's unlikely to be the difference. I feel like.
Actually, he doesn't know about the third Preordain, because
Right. So,
he knows Preordain, Flusterstorm, Force of Will, Gush.
I just feel like you have to counter here because you have to hope that Tom misses land drops just like you, but he did not count.
Yeah, the
I
only
still,
appeal to not countering is that if you draw a land and your Pyromancer resolves, you know there's going to be another Preordain next turn anyway, so at least you get a 1-1 out of it, but I would have just countered.
he countered the second one.
I've,
Come on, land. Let's see a real match. There we go.
Alright, get to have some magic. That's fantastic, too, especially because the Snapcasters are Silvergill Adepts with multiple probes in the graveyard. So if this does get Force of Willed, you still have action.
Yeah, is there any... I don't think you can just... This is... You can't just say go, right?
I don't know why
Snapcaster
you
on Mental
want to.
Misstep is actually not bad. But you don't know about the third preordain. We do, Randy does not.
Yeah, he knows 3 of the 5 cards.
He's probably just going to go Pyromancer.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that play.
Now, does Tom force a will? I sort of feel like he... That's tough. I sort of feel like he...
He's seen this entire hand, right? He probed last turn. He knows all the cards. Randy drew Flooded Strand.
So... I kind of
He
feel like you
has
have to...
Flusterstorm for the dig through time, so yeah, I think you force of will. That gush second gush doesn't do anything. You don't even have a second land right now.
That's a good draw.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really good. He gets a preordained into a second land and then duress.
It's not incredible, but it's certainly good.
Takes dig. Randy will probably go for Time Walk, and that'll get Flusterstormed.
Will it get
Maybe.
Flusterstormed? I don't know if it will.
Yeah, I don't know either, actually.
Yeah, I do like playing Time Walk here. It gives you the potential, if you draw a land next turn, to just snap back a Time Walk. He also is only a mana away from snap. No, I guess he just has Silvergill Adepts going for him.
Well, he also has the option to go for Mental Misstep.
True, yeah. He knows both of these. Oh, no. He doesn't know about another gush. He's only seen the one gush that got Force of Will.
It looks like so he is doing that. He's waiting for a fourth mana before he commits a Snapcaster or a Time Walk because he wants to leave up Snapcaster Mental Misstep.
Sure. Reasonable.
Or at least wants a Time Walk where he could get another... He might Time Walk now because he could get another land drop out of it.
So it looks like Tom is contemplating whether to gush. I don't really see a reason to.
Yeah, they're both 1 mana away. So wait, what is
What is?
Randy doing?
I have no idea.
All he can do here is
Just do nothing.
nothing.
He's just playing Ambush Viper. I don't
I don't.
understand.
Wow.
Oh. Well, it was right.
Wow.
That's insane. That's a
I
great
am
job.
really surprised he played Ambush Viper.
Yeah. He's got to just let this resolve. It'll take the Flusterstorm. He could, no, it's
You take the
he
gush,
could
right?
respond by Gush and then Flusterstorming it. That doesn't
Doesn't
work
work.
much. Still is just basically taking the Flusterstorm. So,
Yeah, it
uh,
doesn't. Although he might that might actually be best. Because what's the other option?
well, the therapy is just gonna get the Flusterstorm. That's the one card he knows. By casting the Gush and using the
Oh, he doesn't
Flusterstorm,
know. I'm sorry, he doesn't know about the gush.
he
You're right.
doesn't know the Gush. Unless Tom can't remember, he doesn't know the Gush. In which case, you have to Gush.
Hmm.
So now he has to Flusterstorm this, or it's kind of disaster. And he will.
So Tom is just a bunch of preordained. So like y'all
Wow, he let
must.
it resolve. I don't understand.
What do you name
Flusterstorm, the card he knew.
the one card he knew? That makes sense.
But now he gets to see this hand and he can flash it back if he wants to a Snapcaster Mage with perfect information.
Yeah, it
That's a
seems
big punt.
weird to let it resolve, knowing that he can flash it back. Because now he just
I
takes
have to
others.
imagine that Tom did not know which cards Randy saw with the original probes and must have just gotten it confused and thought that he saw the Gush and not the Flusterstorm. That's the only thing that could possibly make sense there because not casting Flusterstorm, it was free to cast. All it did was give him a free look at his hand with Cabal Therapy in the graveyard, which is terrible. It's a complete disaster. So I
So
have to imagine that's what happened.
Randy is going to
Snap
Snapcaster,
time.
Gataxian Probe, and then sack Snapcaster
He's
to
going to
or
snap Time
Time
Walk.
Walk. I think Time
Time
Walk.
Walk is Gataxian Probe that also deals 4 damage. It could get Dig.
Oh, Dig. Yeah, Dig is. Um, Dig is probably better, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Just having so you attack for 4, Cabal Therapy. He's only
Do you
going to
even
be.
Cabal Therapy? There's nothing to take right now.
I mean, I
Um,
think you have to take the
if you
utmost
draw
road in case he draws Black Lotus. Right?
If he draws Black Lotus,
You
yeah.
can't let him. I mean, you
It's still
can't
not
give that.
insane. I mean, it's obviously, it's insane. Okay. You're, it is insane.
It just lets him. Yeah, it just lets him refill his. He just basically draws like 4 cards.
Well, not Flusterstorming that dig is or that therapy. So costly. He is going to Time Walk. Looking for action.
Well,
Wow. That's action. That's
yeah.
fantastic.
And now you don't even need. Now you can just attack for 4 again, and now you just get to get the shorter clock because there's no reason to take Force of Will.
Yeah, he's essentially on a 2-turn clock because of that Misty Rainforest that he's going to need for mana, I think. Or the Force of Will. They're both, require that one extra point that the Snapcasters aren't doing. Like Tom's going to play a land, it's just going to get stripped. He's going to need a big draw.
This is basically over.
Not it. Yeah,
Well, there's the deck to take the.
it takes the Mox.
Yeah.
I don't think there are any outs. Like if you cast Doomsday, you die. Randy still knows the entire hand. Tom played a fetch land. Yeah, just play deck, take the mocks, and it's over.
Yeah,
So,
so Randy kind of stealing game one with a bad hand is the difference.
so you are about to take on Randy Bueller.
I think that's correct. I haven't been fully on top of the schedule recently. I have to.
Someone is about to take on someone.
I think that is correct. I'm about to take on Randy.
And so Randy is the third qualifier into the Super Champion League of Champions.
Oh yeah.
And now, yeah,
Randy has escaped full-time commentator status.
the old escape route. So Chris will play Randy. The winner will play me and have to beat me twice to try to win Vintage Super League
That
in
is my
season
plan.
3. What's that?
I've beat you twice in a row before.
You have.
It's something that's
Congratulations. Should have beat me once tonight. Got to pay more attention next time.
yeah, that would have been better.
Yeah, maybe you'll end up beating me 3 times essentially. All you have to do is get through Randy first.
Yep.
All right, so we are going to take a quick break. We are going to set up our match between Chris Pakula, Randy Bueller, to get to the finals.
All right. Later.